Conor McGregor will never be the same. Put yourself in his situation. He came from fighting, hurting himself, injuries after injuries. Now, let me tell you something. If you came out of a deal with over $600 million in your pockets, would you still go back to boxing? Would you still go back to the UFC and get hurt? Maybe break a cheekbone, maybe get your leg broke. Would you go back? You line out your ass if you said that you had $600 million in the bank, that you would want to go back into that cage. Absolutely not. Now, a lot of people hate him for it, but they didn't hate Khabib. They didn't hate Khabib when he quit. Why? Because he's not as loudmouth and he doesn't have as much money as Conor McGregor. So what I'm trying to say here is that Conor McGregor fans have became haters. Now again, I kind of don't respect how Conor McGregor talks this much shit, but he doesn't back it up. We used to like Conor McGregor back in 2016 because he could back it up. He would say, "I will break your head and I will make your head bounce like a basketball on that fucking cage." And he used to do it. He used to, "I'll knock you out in round one." He used to tell that to these fighters, and he would actually do it. That's what we respected him. But now, can he even talk like that anymore? No, because he hasn't been active. And the last time he was active, he got his leg broken. So again, back to my point, why would he go back into the ring when he has $600 million in the bank? Why would he hurt himself? Why would he go back home to his family with a broken cheek? I wouldn't do it. I know I wouldn't do it. If I had a Lambo yacht, why would I, instead of being in the Lambo yacht, be in the UFC in the cage? I just wouldn't do that. And a lot of people have to understand this. At a certain point, you need to start focusing more on the business side than on the actual fighting side. And that's what Conor McGregor did very well. He got all of his attention from the UFC and put it into proper 12, into these brand deals, which is smart, which is what Sean O'Malley's also doing. He's also putting a lot of money. He says suppose he's going to start a weed company, which now the UFC is actually taking percentage of anything that a UFC fighter is making. So if a UFC fighter makes a company, like a, let's say, I don't know, a drink company, the UFC could take a percentage of it now. So Conor McGregor is actually kind of lucky that he's not in the UFC anymore. So again, Conor McGregor will never be the same. It's not a bad thing because let me tell you something. Anybody in his position with $600 million in the bank wouldn't go back in that cage and risk their health.
I think it's clear that we all need to accept that Conor McGregor can't be the old McGregor anymore. He can't be the shit talking and then the getting in the cage and beating people's ass anymore. He can't be that. Why? Not only because he's getting old, but also because of his steroid use. His steroid use really affected his health, and now he can't perform as he could have back then. And another important point, he broke his leg against Dustin Poirier, and everybody has said it, and it's very clear. And any scientist, any health doctor could tell you, once a fighter gets an injury like that, he'll never be the same again. Regardless if he recovers, regardless if he gets surgery, a fighter can never be the same after an injury like that. So it's clear that Conor McGregor isn't motivated to get back in the ring and start whooping people's ass. Let's admit it, he's good at shit talking, he's good at selling a fight, and he's good at promoting a fight, and he's good at promoting other people's fights, like Dylan Dennis versus Logan Paul, but he's not good at getting back in the cage. And we all need to accept this and accept the fact that he's in the old generation. He's the OG and maybe a Hall of Fame in the UFC, but he can't be an active fighter like he was before. We can't expect Conor McGregor to call out Leon Edwards or call out Michael Chandler, because even if he does call him out, it would be stupid for him to get in that UFC cage, because we just know that he shouldn't win that fight. Everybody knows, you know what? They should win that fight. They should be Conor McGregor, and it should be an easy fight for them, and it should be an easy paycheck for them because they're going against a retired fighter, a fighter who's not active. And as much as Conor McGregor wants to get in there and wants to throw punches and wants to get that bag, I mean, he could do it for the money, but at the same time, it's not the best thing for him. I think it's better for him to sit back. You know, he's doing well in his company, focus on his companies, and focus on his promotions and focus on his sponsors, than rather trying to get in the cage and prove something when he doesn't have anything to prove, because he proved what he had to prove. He doesn't need to prove anything now that he's old. Nobody sees Conor McGregor and says, you know what, Conor McGregor, you need to get back in that cage and you need to prove this to Michael Chandler and prove to him that you're not a bitch. Prove to him that you could back up the talk. Like, he doesn't need to do this. He could just sit back, take care of his family, take care of his business, and he'll be good in life. He doesn't need to get back in the cage and risk hurting himself and risk getting another injury.